नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
प्रह्लाद लाददायिने प्रह्लाद लाददायिने हिरण्यकशिपोर्वक्षः हिरण्यकशिपोर्वक्षः शिलटाङ्कानखालाये इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा
यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा
यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा
यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा
बहि नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा
हृदये नरसिंहा
बहि नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा बहि नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा
बहि नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा
बहि नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहा मदि शरणं प्रपदे नरसिंहा मदीं शरणं प्रपदे तव कर कमलवरे नाखा अद्भुत शृङ्गार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपो तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
कर कमल हरे मधुत शृङ्गार ललिता हिरण्यकशिपो तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
जय केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare.
जय विघ्न विनाशा जय नरसिंहा देव विघ्न विनाशा जय नरसिंहा देव
जय विघ्न विनाशा जय नरसिंहा देव विघ्न विनाशा जय नरसिंहा देव
जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंहा जय अनंत देव लक्ष्मी नरसिंहा जय अनंत देव
लक्ष्मी नरसिंहा जय अनंत देव लक्ष्मी नरसिंहा जय अनंत देव
जय प्रहलाद नरसिंहा जय प्रहलाद नरसिंहा प्रहलाद नरसिंहा जय प्रहलाद नरसिंहा जय जय गुरुदेव प्रभुपाद गुरुदेव प्रभुपाद
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री नरसिंह जय 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 नरसिंह। प्रहलादेश जय पद्म मुख पद्म भृंग। We are going to celebrate the appearance anniversary of Lord Narasimha on the 25th of this month, 3 days from now. So let us hear from the Srimad Bhagavatam the description of the pastime of the appearance of Lord Narasimha. Wonderful description in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In fact, most of the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam is dedicated for describing in detail the pastime of the appearance of Lord Narasimha. Shukadeva Goswami describes this to Parikshit Maharaj, and it is recorded by Vyasadeva, this wonderful description. So the background for Lord Narasimha's appearance is that Lord appeared for protecting his devotee Prahlada Maharaj and for killing the demon Hiranyakashipu. So how did Hiranyakashipu become very, very inimical towards Prahlada, his own son? And more importantly, why did Hiranyakashipu maintain enmity with Vishnu? That is explained in the Bhagavatam. When Vishnu, in the form of Varaha, the boar incarnation, killed Hiranyaksha. Who was Hiranyaksha? Hiranyaksha was Hiranyakashipu's brother. Then Hiranyakashipu became very, very angry, filled with rage and biting his lips. Hiranyakashipu gazed at the sky with eyes that blazed like a blazing fire, and he made the whole sky filled with smoke. Then he began to speak. He was speaking to his demoniac associates. He was a demon. He called all the demons, the important associates, and he said, "All of you, please hear me attentively and then act according to my order. My insignificant enemies, the demigods, have combined to kill my dear and obedient well-wisher, my brother Hiranyaksha. Although the Supreme Lord Vishnu is always equal to both the demigods and the demons, this time, being worshipped by the demigods, he has taken their side and he has helped them to kill Hiranyaksha. So now, I am going to cut off Vishnu's head by my trident, and with profuse blood from his body I shall please my brother Hiranyaksha, who was very fond of sucking blood. Then only I'll be peaceful. See the nature of the demon. He is very angry against Vishnu. And what is his understanding of who is Vishnu? I think Vishnu is another Devata, another demigod. So these demigods are all not very, very powerful. They are powerful, but their leader, Vishnu, who is more powerful than the others, in front of my strength, he is nothing. I will easily kill him. This is Hiranyakashipu's plan. And he's telling that when I am engaged in the business of killing Lord Vishnu, go down to the planet Earth, which is flourishing due to Brahmanical culture and a good Kshatriya government. These people engage in austerities, sacrifice, Vedic study, performing worship of Vishnu. So destroy all these people who are thus engaged. So the demons went and set fire to the cities, villages, pasturing grounds, to the agricultural fields, to the natural forests. They burned the hermitages of saintly persons, and they also burnt the government capitals. They destroyed bridges. They destroyed the gopuras, the city gates, and they cut down important trees. Like this, when the citizens were harassed, and when the demigods were not receiving the results of the fire sacrifice, demigods also became disturbed. They left their residential quarters in the heavenly planets and began wandering on the planet Earth to see what all disasters are taking place. Now Hiranyakashipu, when he saw that so much of destruction is done, then he decided to actually pacify his relatives who were very much aggrieved by because of the death of Hiranyaksha. So he spoke very nice philosophy, explaining the difference between the soul and the body. And in this way, he pacified his mother, his relatives, and then after all that, he decided he is going to actually do severe tapasya in order to become unconquerable, free from old age. He wanted all the yogic perfections. He wanted to be the only king of the entire universe, including Brahmaloka. So, what was his plan? He decided to go to a place in a valley of the Mandara hill, and he began performing austerities by standing with his toes on the ground, keeping his arms upward and looking towards the sky. This position is extremely difficult, but he accepted this austerity as a means for perfection. So, because of a severe austerity, from the top of his head, a fire started coming out from his head, and the smoke and the heat of this fire spread throughout the sky, encompassing the upper and lower planets, which all started becoming extremely hot. Now, because of the power of his severe austerities, all the rivers and oceans were agitated. The mountains, the islands began trembling. Stars and planets started falling away from their orbit, and all directions were ablaze. So all the devatas, they went to Lord Brahma to complain about this cause for all these disturbances. Now, when the devatas informed Brahma and told him, please stop these disturbances, then Brahma, accompanied by great sages like Bhrigu and other great sages, he immediately started for the place where Hiranyakashipu was performing his tapasya. Then Brahma, at first he could not see where is Hiranyakashipu, but he could make out that there is an ant hill. And then, because Hiranyakashipu was performing tapasya for a very long time, surrounding his body, the ants had made a hill, and the ants had devoured his skin, his flesh. Only his bones were remaining. So, struck with wonder by this kind of austerity, Brahma, he told Hiranyakashipu, O son of Kashyapa Muni, Hiranyakashipu was born as son of Kashyapa and Diti, please get up, all good fortune unto you. You are now perfect in the performance of your austerity. Therefore, I may give you a benediction. You may ask from me whatever you desire, and I shall try to fulfill your wish. So when Hiranyakashipu heard Brahma's words, seeing Brahma present before him in a swan airplane, Hiranyakashipu was extremely happy. He fell flat on the ground and he offered obeisances to Lord Brahma. Then, with tears in his eyes, his whole body trembling, he began to pray to Lord Brahma in a very, very humble mood, with folded hands. O my Lord, O best of the givers of benediction, if you will kindly grant me the benediction I desire, please let me not meet death from any living entities created by you. I should not die inside or outside my residence. I should not die during the day or at night. I should not be killed on the ground or in the sky. My death should not be brought about by any being created by you, nor by any weapon, nor by any human being, nor by any animal. And I should not be killed by any demigod or demon. Like this, he asked for benediction to actually become immortal. Give me all the mystic powers and give me sole lordship over the living entities and the presiding deities of all the different planets. And give me all the glories obtained by that position. So Brahma was very much satisfied by Hiranyakashipu's austerities, and he granted this benediction to Hiranyakashipu. He told Hiranyakashipu, these benedictions for which you have asked are difficult to obtain for most people, because you have performed very, very severe austerity, I shall still grant those boons to you. So then, being blessed by Brahma and having acquired a lustrous golden body, how did he get back his lustrous golden body? When Brahma saw that his body was eaten away by the ants, Brahma took some water from his kamandalu and simply sprinkled it on Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu's body became completely restored to its original luster. But after all this, he never forgot the death of his brother caused by Vishnu. So now that he had got these boons, he became the conqueror of the entire universe. In fact, all the three worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems, all the beings, the human beings, the Gandharvas, the serpents, the Siddhas, the Charanas, the Vidyadharas, the great saints, the Rishis, the Manus, the Yakshas, the Rakshasas, the Pishachas, everyone, he made them subordinate to him. He defeated everyone in all the planets, all the rulers, and he brought them under his control. Then, in spite of having so much of power, he occupied the seat of Indra, Indra's palace in the Indraloka. And he began to enjoy. He was always drunk, and he was his eyes were always rolling because he had executed great austerities in mystic yoga. Although he was in an abominable state of existence, still, except for Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, every other devata personally had to worship Hiranyakashipu and had to please him by giving him gifts, by obeying his orders. And whatever sacrifices that were offered by anybody, he would take away all those offerings without sharing them with the respective devatas to whom it was actually supposed to be given. And then, in fear of Hiranyakashipu, the earth planet delivered food grains without being plowed. And there was plenty of all natural resources, and in this way, Hiranyakashipu, he passed a long time being very much proud of his opulences. But in spite of all these opulences, he was always dissatisfied. That is because instead of controlling his senses, he became a servant of his senses. And that was the reason why he was always dissatisfied. In spite of so much power, so much opulence, so much of facilities for enjoyment, he could never be satisfied. So this is a lesson for all of us, that don't think that you are lacking satisfaction within the core of your heart just because you don't have some facility or some opulence or some power or some position. No, none of these things can ever give you the satisfaction that you are seeking. Satisfaction is obtained only by Krishna consciousness. That is explained by Prabhupada in the purport to this verse. Now, everyone, including the rulers of various planets, was extremely distressed because of the severe punishment inflicted by Hiranyakashipu. So they all at last surrendered to Lord Vishnu and offered prayers to the Supreme Lord. Without sleep, fully controlling their mind, living only on their breath, the predominating deities of the various planets began worshipping the Supreme Lord through meditation. And in response to their prayers, the Supreme Lord assured them, "O best of learned persons, do not fear. I wish all good fortune for you. Become my devotees by hearing and chanting about me. Offer me prayers, and certainly you will be receiving your benedictions that you desire. I know all about the activities of Hiranyakashipu, and very soon I am going to stop them. Wait patiently for the right time. When Hiranyakashipu teases his own son, the great devotee Prahlada, then I shall kill Hiranyakashipu immediately, despite the benedictions of Brahma." So this is the assurance the Supreme Lord gave to the presiding deities of the various planets who were harassed by Hiranyakashipu. When they heard this, they became extremely joyful and they returned to their personal abode, considering that now the demon Hiranyakashipu is practically dead, finished. Because once Supreme Lord has assured that he will personally kill Hiranyakashipu, then there is nothing to fear. Now Hiranyakashipu, he had 4 wonderful, well-qualified sons. And the youngest one was named Prahlada. He was the best. He was a reservoir of all transcendental qualities because he was a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. And his extraordinary qualities have been described in the Bhagavatam. I'll just mention a few of them. He was having very good character. He was fully controlling his senses and mind. He was kind to every living being. He was always sympathetic to the poor. He was completely free from unnatural pride. Even though he had very good riches, beauty, aristocracy, he was never proud, always humble. So this Prahlada always was absorbed in the thought of Krishna. He did not know how his bodily necessities were fulfilled simply by his being absorbed in the thought of Krishna. His normal activities, bodily necessities were fulfilled without his conscious endeavor. Everything was automatically done. Now, the demons headed by Hiranyakashipu, they accepted Shukracharya as their spiritual master. Now, Shukracharya had 2 sons, Shanda and Amarka. They lived near Hiranyakashipu's palace. Now, Prahlada, even though he was already educated in devotional service when he was in the womb of his mother, but still his father, unaware of that, Hiranyakashipu sent Prahlada to the 2 sons of Shukracharya to be educated. And they accepted him at their Gurukul. And Prahlada was trained along with the other sons of the Asuras, small boys. Now when Prahlada heard topics of politics, economics, all this taught by their teachers, by his teachers, he thought this is simply a waste of time. He did not like so much hearing all these topics. Once upon a time, when Hiranyakashipu took his son Prahlada on his lap after some days, after he had attended Gurukul, he affectionately inquired, "My dear son, please let me know what you think is the best of all the subjects you have studied from your teachers." So Prahlada's reply is very, very significant. The Bhagavatam says, "Tat sadhu manye asuravarya dehinam sada samudvigna dhyam asadgrahat Hitvatmapatam grihamandhakupam vanam gato yad harimashrayeta. So Prahlad Maharaj replied to his father, what is the best of what you have learned? So his reply is, first of all, he is addressing his father, not as my dear father, but to the best of asuras, Asura Varya, king of the demons. As far as I have learned from my spiritual master, any person who has accepted a temporary body and temporary household life is certainly embarrassed by anxiety. Sada samudvigna dhyam. Because asadgrahat, because of having fallen in a dark well where there is no water but only suffering. Hitvatmapatam grahamandhakupam. This household life where one is simply engaged in sense gratification instead of self-realization is compared to a dark well. And in such a dark well, there is only suffering. So he is advising, Hitva, better give up this position and go to the forest. Vanam gato. For what? To take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari. Harimashrayeta. Now, when Prahlad spoke about this to Hiranyakashipu, he heard Prahlad's words and he began to laugh very loudly. This child's intelligence is spoiled by our enemy. He began to remark like that. Then he advised his assistants, Shanda and Amarka, kindly give protection to this boy at the Gurukul so that his intelligence will not be further influenced by Vaishnavas who may go there in disguise. He could understand that this small boy, he is being influenced by some devotees of Vishnu. That's why he is speaking like this. So, then the servants of Hiranyakashipu brought this boy Prahlad back to the Gurukul and they began to inquire from him with very affectionate words. They inquired, dear son Prahlad, how have you learned these instructions? How has your intelligence been spoiled this way? So Prahlad replied, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose external energy has created the distinctions of my friend and my enemy, but deluding the intelligence of men. O Brahmanas, as iron attracted by a magnetic stone moves automatically towards the magnet, my consciousness, having been changed by the will of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, is attracted to Vishnu, who carries a disc in his hand. Thus I have no independence. They are wondering who has actually brainwashed this boy. Sometimes even devotees are accused of being brainwashed. So same way, this Chanda and Amarka were thinking, who has brainwashed this small boy? So when he spoke like this, the teachers, they became very angry at him. Oh, this boy is very acting very smart. So then they remarked, they spoke among each other and said, this rascal Prahlad has appeared like a thorn tree in a forest of sandalwood. To cut down sandalwood trees, an axe is needed, and the wood of the thorn tree is very suitable for the handle of such an axe. Lord Vishnu is the axe for cutting down the sandalwood tree, a sandalwood forest of the family of the demons, and this Prahlad is the handle for that axe. So they chastised and threatened this Prahlad in so many ways and forcibly began teaching him about economic development, politics, sense gratification. In this way, they tried to educate him. So, in this way, after some time, when the teachers Shanda and Amarka thought Prahlad was sufficiently educated in diplomatic affairs of political subject matter, then one day they presented him before Hiranyakashipu. So, after Prahlad's mother had personally washed the boy, dressed him nicely with sufficient ornaments, they presented him before his father. So, when Hiranyakashipu saw that his child had very faithfully fallen at his feet, offering nice obeisances, as an affectionate father, he immediately began showering blessings upon the child, embraced him with both arms. Then Hiranyakashipu seated Prahlad on his lap and began smelling his head. With affectionate tears gliding down his eyes, he spoke to his son as follows: "My dear Prahlad, my dear son, O long-lived one, so much time you have heard many things from your teachers. Please repeat to me whatever you think is the best of that knowledge." Earlier he had told, "Tell me best of what you know." Now he's saying, "Tell me best of what you have learned from your teachers, Shanda and Amarka." So Prahlad Maharaj's reply again is very interesting. Shravanam kirtanam Vishno smaranam padasevanam archanam vandanam dasyam sakhyam atmanivedanam iti pumsarpita Vishno bhaktische navalakshana kriyeta bhagavati adha tanmanye adhitam uttamam. So the meaning of these two verses, what Prahlad Maharaj replied to Hiranyakashipu: hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, so hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, archanam, offering prayers to the Lord, vandanam, becoming his servant, dasyam, considering the Lord to be one's best friend, sakhyam, and surrendering everything to him. In other words, serving him with body, mind, words, everything. Atmanivedanam. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Adhitam uttamam. Now, after hearing these words of devotional service from the mouth of son Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu became very, very angry, his lips trembling. He spoke to Shanda, the son of his guru Shukracharya. "O unqualified, most heinous son of a Brahmana, you have disobeyed my order and taken shelter of the party of my enemies. You have taught this poor boy about devotional service. What is this nonsense?" Now Hiranyakashipu is thinking, not that some enemy is coming and trying to brainwash this boy. These teachers who I have entrusted my son, they themselves are teaching about bhakti. What is going on? So the son of Shukracharya, Shanda, he replied, "O enemy of King Indra, whatever your son Prahlad has said was not taught to him by us, by me or anyone else in the Gurukul. His spontaneous devotional services naturally developed in him." So they explained, it has spontaneously developed. We have never taught him all that. So when Hiranyakashipu received this reply from the teacher, he again began to address his son Prahlad. He questioned his son, "You rascal, most fallen member of our family, If you're not received this education from your teachers, where have you got it from? So, the reply Prahlad Maharaj gives, we will hear it in the next episode. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If you found this video interesting, do like it and share it with your loved ones. For more uplifting spiritual content, subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon.